Emeka wanted to humiliate his ex-wife by inviting her to his lavish wedding. He imagined she would arrive in old clothes, her face full of sorrow, a living reminder of the simple past he had escaped. But when Adana arrived, stepping out of a sleek white Lexus, her skin glowing like polished bronze and her smile as calm as a river, the entire ceremony froze. The woman he had called a village girl now looked like a queen. And that was only the beginning of his shock. Once upon a time, in the heart of the bustling city of Lagos, lived a man named Emeka. He was a rising star in the world of construction, a man in his mid-30s who had built his company from nothing. Everyone knew Emeka for his ambition. He loved the smell of new money, the shine of Italian shoes, and the sound of important people saying his name. Emeka walked as if he owned the very air people breathed. He was sharp, he was fast, and he was leaving his humble beginnings far behind him. But in the quiet corners of his large, empty mansion behind the glass walls and the modern art, there was a part of his life he was beginning to hate. It was his wife, Adana. Adana was a woman of gentle spirit. She had a beauty that was not loud but was as warm and comforting as the morning sun. Her skin was the color of rich earth, and her eyes held a kindness that seemed to have no end. She had married Emeka 8 years ago, when he was just a young man with big dreams and an empty pocket. She had believed in him, cooked for him, prayed for him, and used her own small savings to help him start his first project. For 8 years, she was his shadow, his support, and his home. But as Emeka's fortune grew, his heart shrank. The 8 years they had shared started to feel like a burden to him. Every day he came home to a wife who reminded him of a life he wanted to forget. A life of struggle, of shared meals on a small mat, of patched clothes and hopeful prayers. One evening, the silence that had been growing between them finally shattered. The house was cold despite the warm Lagos night. The air was thick with unspoken words. Adana sat in the living room, waiting for him to eat the dinner she had carefully prepared. Emeka walked in, throwing his briefcase on a leather sofa. He loosened his tie, his face a mask of irritation. "Adana," he said, his voice cold and distant. "We need to talk." Adana looked up, her hands clutching the remote control. "Is everything okay, my husband?" "You have not eaten." Emeka let out a short, bitter laugh. "Eat? That's all you think about, isn't it?" "Cooking and cleaning. This is my life now. I spend my day with governors and foreign investors, and I come home to a woman who smells of onions and palm oil." Adana's heart began to beat faster. "But Emeka, I am your wife. I take care of our home. I take care of you." "Take care of me?" he scoffed, walking closer. "Look at you, Adana. You still look like you just came from the village. Your clothes are simple. Your English is simple. You don't know how to talk to my new friends. Last week at the party, Mrs. Otadola asked you about your designer, and you told her you sewed the dress yourself. Do you know how embarrassing that was for me?" Tears welled up in Adana's eyes. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "But I have always sewn my own clothes. You used to say you loved them. You said they made me look like a true African woman. That was then," he shouted, his voice echoing in the large room. "That was when I was nobody. Now I am somebody. I need a wife who looks the part. A wife who shines. You are dull, Adana. You are holding me back." The tears streamed down her face. "Holding you back? Emeka, I held you up when you had nothing. I stood by you. We built this life together. This house, these cars, my sweat is in them too." His voice grew colder, sharper. "Because you are nothing to me now. What is a wife who cannot elevate her husband? You eat my food, you live in my house, but you cannot even make me proud in front of my circle. You are a relic of a past I want to bury." Adana's body shook. "Do not say that, Emeka, please. We made a vow. In sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer. Have you forgotten?" Emeka turned his back on her, walking towards the bar to pour himself a drink. "I have not forgotten. I have just upgraded. That vow was for a poor man. I am a rich man now, and I need a rich man's wife." He took a long sip of his drink, then faced her again, his eyes devoid of any warmth. "I have found someone, Adana. Her name is Zara. She is educated, she is classy, she speaks 5 languages. She is the kind of woman who belongs by my side." Adana gasped, a sharp pain piercing her chest, as if a knife had been driven into it. "You cheated on me?" "I upgraded," he repeated coldly. This marriage is over. I will give you some money. You can go back to your village or wherever you want. Just get out of my life. I want you gone by tomorrow morning." She fell to her knees, her body trembling with shock and pain. She crawled towards him, clutching the hem of his expensive trousers. "Please, Amika, no. Don't do this. After 8 years? What did I do wrong? I gave you my youth. I gave you everything." He pulled his leg away from her grasp as if her touch was dirty. "You did nothing wrong. You just failed to grow with me. That is your crime." He took out his wallet, pulled out a stack of Naira notes, and threw them on the floor in front of her. "Here, take this. It is more money than your father has ever seen. Now leave." The maids in the house heard the shouting and the crying. They stood in the hallway, whispering with sad eyes, but none of them dared to interfere. Adana's sobs filled the mansion as she tried one last time. "Emeka, look at me. Look at the woman who loved you when you were just a boy with a dream." But his heart was sealed. He looked down at her on the floor, his face a mask of stone. "By morning, Adana, I do not want to see a single trace of you in this house." Slowly, her spirit breaking, Adana stood up. The money lay scattered on the marble floor, looking like an insult. She did not touch it. She walked to their bedroom with weak steps. The room that was once filled with love now felt like a cage. She packed a small bag with a few of her old clothes, the ones she had sewn herself. Each dress held a memory, a laugh, a shared secret. Now they were just pieces of a life that was over. As she walked out of the mansion, bag in hand, she did not look back. The cold night air hit her face, mixing with her hot tears. The life she had built was gone. The man she loved had become a stranger. She whispered to the empty night, "He thinks he has buried me, but he does not know he has planted a seed." And with that quiet promise, Adana stepped into the darkness, leaving behind the mansion, the money, and the man who had thrown her away like a worn-out shoe. This was not the end. It was the painful, bitter beginning of a new story.